He looks like he owns credit. Oh my gosh. Man like Arthur from Batman.
Namaste, dzień dobry, assalamu alaikum, ciao, konnichiwa, bonjour, hola. Great gig last night. Thank you for those of you that attended Charing Cross Hospital. We had lots of fun. I hope you can attend the next one. Nice little free concert. And we had a bit of ball. How are you? I hope you're well. Here in Norbury, SW16, the weather is beautiful. We have sunshine, which is nice to see. And I'm gradually getting over this cough thing. I don't know if you've had it yet, but oh my gosh, it's taken weeks and weeks, but it's gradually leaving me. I'm pleased to report. Now, the reason I'm here and what I'm here to do is tell you all about property and what's going on in the market here in Southwest London, SW16 Norbury, which is where we are, James Alexander Estate Agents. We sell and let properties and manage a lot. And the question I'm getting asked more and more is, where has all the rental property gone? Where's the stock? Where's it vanished to? And the answer is, well, for various reasons, landlords have started to sell up. And on the one hand, on the other hand, that has mean that there's less available stock for people to choose from. That has pressured rents upwards. On top of that, there have been several tax measures and disincentives for landlords put in place by this government over the years, right back to Section 24 of the Finance Act. And what this did was it took the right of landlords to deduct interest payments from their tax bill. And it's affected landlords on average in the UK by £2,000 a year. Now, for many small landlords, that might not sound a lot, but it could be the difference between them covering their expenses and not. Then on top of the Section 24, we've had the increase in stamp duty, disincentivizing buying buy-to-let landlords from actually purchasing. And then on top of that, we've had various things, and we still have various things coming, which are disincentivizing landlords and making them a little bit frightened to invest. And it's understandably so. The problem then is when stock comes up, there's less available, less competition. And then finally, of course, the big one, interest rates. They've gone up massively. Many landlords are now paying 8%, where they were paying 1% and 2% before in terms of their variable interest rate. And in order to fix that rate, it's not that much cheaper either. So on that basis, what's happening is lots of landlords are finding, hang on a minute, all of a sudden their interest payments are substantially higher than the income they're achieving. And then this leads them to increase the rent, not because they want more money, but because they want to at least break even. Quite often, it's not about landlords' greed. It's about landlords saying, hey, this no longer works. It's no longer a break-even situation. Two other things that are coming up and reasons why there's less stock around is when landlords are scared away, there's not as many investors around, of course, which means there's no people buying new stock to let. On top of that, when rents are rising, it's human nature that if you're in a tenancy and if you're a shrewd landlord and a shrewd tenant, what will happen is this. 1 year since you've rented, let's say you rented a year or two ago, now you'll find rents have gone up massively. I'm talking a huge increase. Now, most good landlords will increase your rent, but not to the current market level. They'll keep it under. And the reason they'll do that is they know you and that you're a reliable tenant. And that for them is worth paying for. But there is a limit to how much they're prepared to pay for that. So what tends to happen is, let's say the new rent's 2,200, the rent you're paying is 1,900. Then rather than take it up to 2,200, they might take it up to the 2,000 or 2,100. Meaning that when you look at the wider market, you're still paying less than the average price for new stock coming to market, and that discount is worth having. Therefore, that property never comes to market. And then, of course, you've got tenants that would normally move from location to location. And when they look at how much the rents have increased, they just can't afford to make that move. So more people than ever are staying in those tenancies, and those tenants are getting longer and longer because the new rents are so much higher. And some landlords, believe it or not, don't even increase the rent. So there are rents that are still at levels from 2, 3, and 4 years ago, significantly below the market average. Now, on top of that, we've got the requirement for the energy performance certificates coming up now, the new legislation coming in, which will mean that landlords have to rent their properties with a grade C or above energy performance certificate. This has not yet gone through Parliament. They're currently debating it. There are some problems with it. They did talk about 2025. It looks like it's going to be delayed until December 2028, which is actually 2029, isn't it? So they kicked it into the long grass. But they've also said that the EPC measuring system is not fit for purpose. And if that's the case, any improvements you make now, although probably worthwhile, may not make the difference depending on how they measure the energy performance certificates in the future. Because I think we're in for some major changes there. A lot of people are also asking, well, what will happen then if I've got a property that's, let's say, an E, and I can't get it to a C, it's just not possible physically to do that. Well, then you'll need to prove that you spent a sum of money. We don't yet know exactly what that sum of money is, yet to be decided. But the ruling seems to be they're thinking about between £5,000 and £10,000, depending on where you are in the UK and what the rent is. And then if you can prove that you've made significant improvements up to that value, even though you haven't made the C by 2028, then you will be able to rent that property out. I think the government are in for a bit of a shock here, because I think it's going to be very, very hard for people to get their heads around this. And we could see an even greater exodus from the UK rental market. And that is the last thing that any government needs right now. On the flip side, interestingly, many people that were renting and have been renting long term have now found that renting so expensive that they're actually going the other way and actually deciding to buy instead, which is underpinning the sales side of the market. And then on top of that, of course, some existing investors that don't rely on very large mortgages or don't have any finance attached have seen a huge uplift in their rents with no relative expenses that have risen as well. So, there are winners in this, and they tend to be the people that actually have been holding property for a long, long time. Many landlords, though, are consolidating their portfolios and realizing that actually they've got some equity in some of those properties, and they're consolidating them by, maybe if they've got 4 or 5, actually selling 2 and then using that cash to put into the other 2, which reduces those loans down, so that the correlation then works between the rent and the actual cost of that loan. If necessary, some of them are even clearing their mortgages as well. We have many retirees, for instance, that actually have no mortgage on their properties, but do rely on that as an income. And of course, it's one of the best inflation hedges you can have, because as inflation goes up, guess what? So do rents. In terms of market generally, we are busy, very busy. Offers are still coming in. Things are still going through. Pipeline's good, and there is some confidence out there. It's quite interesting to see when you look around. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, nothing's moving." Our experience is that if you pitch the price correctly, then there is still movement out there. So if you're thinking of selling and you're not sure about the advice you're getting, we're here for you. We've got your back. That's what we do. And one of the things I always say, but it's important to me, that our landlords and vendors know that when they come with us, we're like a big family here. Literally, everybody in the office works for one thing, and that is to make sure that the client gets the best result possible in all the circumstances. Does that mean we sometimes mess things up? Yeah, absolutely. But in the end, as long as you know we're doing our very best for you, then you can have that peace of mind. And many of our landlords and our vendors know that that is our intention every time, to make sure they get the best possible result. Does that mean valuing at the highest possible price? No, not at all, because you need to be honest and own it in this market. Where things have pulled back a little and there is a market, but it's a bit lower, you need to be honest and lay it out to your vendors and say, look, sometimes those conversations are difficult. You've been on the market with another agent now for 3 or 6 months or 9 months in one I saw recently. And perhaps one of the things that the agent's got wrong is the pricing. You need to have a hard conversation with those clients sometimes about, really, if you want to sell, then this is the price it needs to be pitched at. The problem being that if you pitch the price too high for too long, then nobody wants what nobody wants. So you fall into this category of, oh, okay, that one's been around a while, and everybody knows it, because of the way the market is these days. Everybody sees on Zoopla when you've reduced that price. There's one on with a competitor that will remain nameless at the moment. It's had 10 price reductions in the last 6 months and is still available. I mean, what is the point, really? And the point is that the agent has overvalued deliberately in order to gain the instruction, and now they're finding themselves in a situation, no doubt, with an angry vendor. But the problem is this: they've signed a very long contract with a huge number of weeks, and they can't get out of it. So they've had to reduce with an agent that they now dislike, and that's really frustrating. So when an agent gives you a valuation, one of the things to look for is the length of contract that they're asking you to sign for. The longer the contract, the more likely they're giving you a false price and false hope in order to reel you in, get you to sign up, and then gradually reduce your price down. That doesn't get you the best price, though, because when you've been hanging around for a while, you tend to end up having to give a bit of a discount to the actual market, because people know you've been available for so long. If you pitch the price correctly, then you can find that there's people out there that will offer straight away, or certainly within a couple of weeks or so. And that is the way in this market to make sure you get the best possible price. And that's what we're here to do for you. So if you think of selling, you want some advice, there is still a market out there. There are still people buying and selling. Springtime is the best possible time. And while the weather's fine, why not have a go? Give us a call. Just 0208 679 8601. Drop me an email, ken@jamesalexander.com. Pop in, corner of Northborough Road and London Road in SW16. We're here for you. So apart from that, thanks for watching. Have a great day. We'll be back same time tomorrow. Until then, look after yourselves and your family. Ciao.